Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are so pleased to have back on the show with us Derek Danziger. He is a children's author, but you might know his name as a PR maven. He's still doing mavenish work in public relations, but he started to get into writing children's books. Derek, always good to see you.
It's great to see you, Drew. How's everything going?
Not a dull moment in the world of our Spotlight on the Community Show. As you know, it's the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, so we've been doing this for quite a while. But why don't you talk a little bit about your PR background, then we'll get right into becoming a children's author.
Sure. No, thanks for having me today. 30 years, coming on 30 years of doing PR in the city of San Diego. And it's funny, I always joke that public relations is this term that so many people have no idea what you're talking about when you say you do that. I say if you can tell your parents what you do for a living, then that's the barometer. But basically, I tell people as a day job, I'm a professional storyteller. And for the last 30 years, I'm helping businesses and organizations and different types of clients to best tell their story to the target audiences that are most important to them. So I've had the pleasure over 30 years of working on things including the Super Bowl host committee in San Diego, working on downtown's redevelopment, the construction of Petco Park, and so many other projects that I'm just really, proud to have been a small part of.
Yeah, and so when I was running community and public relations for the Union Tribune, we employed Neffer Smith Tucker PR for many years, of course, and just loved working with the group. You were affiliated with them, of course, for a while, and now do your own PR in that aspect of it. So was it because your professional storytelling said, hey, now I want to put something down being a storyteller, but as a children's author? Is that how it worked, or not really?
A little bit, I would say. I didn't start out thinking children's books was the direction that I was going to go. I always have ideas for like movie scripts and screenplays, and I actually wrote and have a finished criminal fiction novel that I've not published, but it's done. So that was really kind of where it started. But then after having kids, I found myself telling my little kids stories and making stuff up and just like kind of, as we all do, kind of living life through their imagination. And that sort of inspired me to translate that writing and see if I could, put out some children's books and see if they would find an audience. So.
Right. Full disclosure, when, Derek came in the first time in a while, and he was working with Writing Above Disability, and he brought in the CEO there, who was just a delight. And of course, we were just chatting about it. Charles Parisi, my business partner and the founder and CEO of Cloudcast Media. We do a superintendent's podcast. We interview all the superintendents in San Diego County. And one of them knew about Writing Above Disability. Her kid had gone through it and stuff. So, do you know Jennifer Burks? Does that ring a bell?
Not that name does not ring a bell.
Yeah, she's the current superintendent of Solana Beach, and she came out of nowhere and said, "Oh yeah, I know Writing Above Disability," and we started chatting about it. So, what was your first book? Your first children's book?
First children's book was in 2023, and it was called "I'm Autistic and I'm Awesome." And it was a book that was written for the purpose of trying to normalize for people with friends and loved ones that are on the autism spectrum, why they may behave the way they do, and to try to change the narrative from these being disabilities to more like superpowers or special abilities. So I created an illustrated children's book that was inspired by a family member of mine that's on the spectrum, and just to try to get something out there for special ed teachers or others. And so that was we launched it in April of 2023 during Autism Acceptance Month.
Right. And so we love having folks on the spectrum or Autism Speaks or fill in the blank I'm hoping I'm alive when it doesn't become anything but, that's just a person that's got some, just a little bit different, but got some great abilities in 75 different areas. Are we moving in that direction, I hope?
I think the acceptance and awareness levels are certainly increasing. I will say statistically, it's pretty startling on that. It's 1 in 22 children in the state of California is deemed neurodiverse or on the spectrum, and it's 1 in 36 in the United States. So that's a huge number, and that means not all teachers are equipped to teach somebody who learns differently and things like that. So the more awareness there is and the more advocacy, but I will say the schools do a very good job of helping and are going in a positive direction.
Yeah, I think that's great. Before we get into the book itself, Teddy the Tiny Tree, talk about the world of storytelling and why that's so important to you. You mentioned obviously because that's what you do as a PR professional, but why is it so critical?
I think it's the way that we learn, and that as humans we've always learned, which is as a young child we're told stories. You have the stories you remember your parents told you that you loved, or we go to movies because it's a story that has a beginning, middle, and end, and a character that you fall in love with or you aspire to be. So I think that's just how we learn as a society, and storytelling has gone for generations. And so I think you can apply that to so many different things. If you're a public speaker going and speaking in front of a group, how do you do it in a way that's going to tell a story that's going to keep your audience captured and interested in what you're talking about? So that's the way I've always approached it, and I feel lucky to work in a job where that's sort of part of the nature of what we do.
Yeah, and as you know, my background a zillion years ago was not as good as our next guest, John Maffey, supreme prep sports writer. But that's why I started as a sports writer long time. So I was telling stories as well. And then, of course, now in the world of podcasting, we've been doing this for quite a while. So that's the ultimate storyteller because it's audio in that aspect. We're chatting with Derek Danziger. He is a longtime public relations practitioner, but a relatively new children's author. I'm going to talk about his book, Teddy the Tiny Tree. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by the very cool people of Mission Fed Credit Union. For 60 years, they've been doing great things for people living in San Diego County. So talk about Teddy the Tiny Tree. It's about an underdog, correct?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the underdog story of the little guy or little girl that doesn't think that they can succeed for whatever their perceived limitations may be, but they rise above and are successful. Movies like Rudy or Hoosiers or any of those kind that I loved growing up. But so Teddy was sort of inspired in a very basic way. I was at a Christmas tree farm with the family. It was sort of late in the holiday season, so the lot was fairly sparse. And I ended up looking around and we picked a tree to take home. But I was like, wow, there's a lot of trees here that are probably just going to end up in the shredder or not go anywhere. And so I was like, what if there was a story that was sort of told from the perspective of a tree that doesn't think they're going to get picked for a family that year, and what would happen in their case, and could it be a fun story? So that was actually the impetus for this one.
That's good. Now, the tree you did pick up, it wasn't was it a big tree?
Oh my gosh, I think it was like a 6 or 7 foot noble fir tree. So it wasn't a tiny tree in the Teddy sort of size, but yes.
Yeah, we get noble firs all the time, in about in about the 7 to 8 foot range, and then it hopefully doesn't crash in the middle of the night, which it's done a couple times in that aspect as well. So you have this idea. Was it last Christmas season, or was it before when you?
I think it was 2 years ago that the idea popped in my head, but life gets in the way, and you sort of have this idea and you stow it away in your brain. And then, just one day I just started noodling on paper, because people always ask, like, what's your process? Do you sit down and do that? And I wish I was as rigid in my system, but I'll just suddenly have thoughts pop into my head, and I'll say, oh, write that down. Or especially with their iPhones and the Notes application.
Sure.
I'll literally type in the notes, and then I'll sit down and look at it again and sort of see, is there a narrative building or what? So it's not like it all comes together at one time. It took a little bit of time.
You ever use AI?
I have no. Now that it's out there,
Yes.
It's exciting and scary at the same time, because I'm like, now anybody could probably just go write me a children's book that talks about
a tree
X, Y, yeah,
right.
But no, this this was 100% my my idea.
Right. Well, obviously, with so much of one of the people we talk to quite a bit are educators and how they're working with AI, and there's a lot of positives to work with AI. Just have to be able how to manage that. Just wondering, you doing the same thing. So, talk about the challenges, because obviously this is new for you, being a children's author. Is it the fact that, boy, I get interrupted so much, so I got this thought down here, then I come back to it a week later or 2 days later, or is that not a challenge?
No, on the development of the book side, I think. Just we live lives where we're consumed by interruption, especially if you have children or whether it's social media or whatever. Our attention spans are so short these days that I think the same is true as it relates to anything that you're trying to complete that's going to take some time.
Right.
Is how do you avoid the interruptions and then get it to a finished product? But then beyond that, from the book world, it's how do I get this out there to a world where there's thousands and thousands of competing voices and stuff like that, which is a whole nother element.
But has that helped you, because you've been in the field of PR for quite a while? A lot of on crisis communications as well, but certainly in promotion and publicity. Did it help you at all having that background?
I think definitely that helps, because I understand what needs to be done to try to amplify something, both organically or if you're going to go down the paid route or whatever that may be. The irony is, and I've told this to my PR friends, is I don't mind doing PR for other people, because that's what I'm used to doing. It's very awkward to me to do it for myself.
Right.
And so as a PR professional, you try to not be in the story that you're doing. So it's a little bit of a different scenario.
Yeah. We're again chatting with Derek Danziger, the author of the Tiny Tree. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. So, talk about you working with an artist. Okay, you had beautiful illustrations in your first book, and you have some beautiful ones in this one here. Do you know this person well, or how did you stumble on this person? Is it the same person?
Yeah, another great story, which is I've never met my illustrator in person. Her name is Natia, and we actually got connected through a website that lots of people aren't familiar with the website, but it's phenomenal, and it's called Fiverr. And it's almost like Match.com for creative people. So you can go on there and find an artist somewhere around the world that's doing what you're doing, and then you engage them and become partners. And so I was fortunate to find Nadia through Fiverr for my first book, for the autism book.
Right.
And I loved the work that she did. And then after that, I reached back out to her and said, hey, I have this idea for another book. Would you be interested? And we got together. So the relationship has 100% been online, where we trade messages. We're in different time zones too. So I would sketch ideas of what I thought the cover could look like or whatever, like in a pencil drawing or pen drawing, email that to her, and then she'd go, okay, I get it. Or, we'd go back and forth. So it was an iterative process like that, but it was fun. So
it must be so interesting because, unlike, maybe a full-blown 400-page novel, which doesn't have a lot of pictures in it, but, now you got an economy of words and then, great artists. And how long was that process? I mean, obviously you clicked with the autism book, and was it easier at the second book around because you guys were on the same wavelength, or not necessarily?
I would say so. I would say the second time around was definitely easier because I kind of knew what to expect. I also had to plan accordingly because for this book, given that it's a holiday-themed book,
right.
It's not evergreen. It's funny, I said evergreen tree. It's not evergreen in the sense that somebody would likely be going and looking for it in the middle of the summertime. So we had to sort of time the if we were going to launch this book, which we did last Friday,
right.
Let's do it before the holidays, and then back that up to how many months does it take to have the publisher agree and have the artist get you your stuff and you're agreed on the pictures and all that goes into that.
Yeah, exactly. How long was the process?
The better part of a year.
Yeah,
8 to 9 months of getting that all pulled together.
When we come back, we're going to chat more with Derek Danziger, author of Teddy the Tiny Tree. We want to talk about perseverance and the fact that there's enough divisiveness in this world. These books sort of help with that. Why that's so important to you as well. And you try to touch base on this a little bit. The difficulty of getting noticed, and when there's 4 billion messages. I remember, probably you do too, back in the day when I started getting into the newspaper business and you were doing PR, they were saying communication doubles every, whatever. It's probably doubles every, nanosecond now, and words and all that. So we can talk about that. And then most importantly, what advice would you give for budding children's authors, in that aspect when we return with Derek Danziger? I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades. They've been doing great things in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's art, whether it's literacy, and everything in between. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, joined by a longtime friend and colleague, Derek Danziger, PR practitioner for more than 3 decades, but a sort of a budding author in the world of children's books. His second book is Teddy the Tiny Tree. We were talking right before this about, the book is about perseverance. It's about underdogs. But you have another plan in mind. There's so much divisiveness in this world. Hopefully this book will calm some of that down, maybe.
Yeah, again, we talked earlier about the underdog story, but I just think that if you go online, social media, whatever it is, there's so much divisiveness and nobody talks to each other anymore. And we kind of only watch the things that feed the narrative that we follow and things like that. So when I'm writing this, I always feel like a children's book should have some kind of a moral compass that's guiding it. And so for this one, it's that, again, despite your perceived limitations, you can rise above and there's opportunities and to believe in yourself and things like that. So, I hope that if people I hope this book finds an audience. I hope that parents who are sitting down with their kids can kind of talk through, what the story means to them.
Right. Do you have an age group this is focused on?
Probably 4 to 10 years of age is the kind of range. I feel like it applies to kind of that young elementary school age kids, but it could go younger too.
Right. So the question is, and you may or may not know, I was many years ago, a past president of the Greater San Diego Reading Association, and I still have a curriculum business, is what I did at San Diego Unified. And so when you write your curriculum, you're based on what grade level it is and make sure you're using some of the vocabulary that can fit in there, even though these days you got fourth graders and, reading at college level. And sometimes you got some high school students that are challenged in all that business. Did anybody help you with your vocabulary on this, or the tone or the pace or everything in between?
I will credit my wife, who actually is a magazine editor herself, and a good barometer for, this is way too complex, or no kid would ever say that or think this way. So she's a good one for me to show stuff to. And then my own kids are my sort of my test case too, because I can read stuff to them. And that, kids are brutally honest. Dad, this is stupid, or I wouldn't go down this pathway. So that's always helpful.
Right. Well, that is sometimes good, honest communication hits between the eyes and that aspect of it. So how do you break through? There's a zillion books out there, and you have a great PR person that you work with. And are there different routes with social media? This is a whole different landscape than when you started 30 years ago.
100%. Yeah. It is very challenging. It's one of these times where the world is as good as it's ever been in terms of being able to have the power to amplify a voice, because everybody has a phone in their hand, and with that phone they can do so much with that. I mean, if I had the editing software for video editing that my kids have when I was a kid, I thought I would be the next Steven Spielberg, that kind of thing. But so to your question though about the challenges, is it's because of that amount that's out there that makes it very challenging. How do you get your story to be heard by people who are seeing things thousands of times a day and making instantaneous decisions to click on something, to not click on something? I think the marketing adage today is somebody has to see something 7 times or at least hear it 7 times before they actually pick it up the first time. So a couple things. I've been fortunate that I'm working with a publishing team called Road to Awesome. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska, who believed in my first book and believed in this one. And they're the ones who work to get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and the places where it has a platform to actually be. But then you actually have to have people find it, right? So I'm doing a ton of stuff on my own social media channels. But then it gets to be that fine line between, I don't want to spam all my friends because I'm trying to promote a book, and are they my target audience, or can they help me get the word out and things like that. I'll just tell you a funny story.
Please.
Is I'm a Taylor Swift fan, but I'm not a quote Swiftie.
Yeah.
But I had friends who said to me, "Did you know Taylor Swift grew up on a Christmas tree farm? You've got to get Taylor Swift to find your book, because all it takes is one tweet from her and everybody will know about your book." And I'm like, that's absolutely true, but the chances of that are slim to none. But
you never know.
You never know, right?
Yeah, right. And maybe you can go through Travis Kelce. Maybe John Maffey, a sports writer, can help you get through Travis Kelce in that aspect of it. We're chatting with Derek Danziger, a longtime PR practitioner, the author of Teddy the Tiny Tree. When it was released, it reached #1 in the category of non-religious children's holiday books. Congratulations on that. That was a fast elevator up and all that. It's great. I will beg to differ a little bit, maybe because I was involved in education and curriculum development and reading and all that business. I think this book will have legs past the holiday season in that aspect of it. It's a book that, just flipping through it real quickly, and I think I read some other stuff you said about it. Listen, kids who love books are going to read it no matter what time of year it is, as you well know. And so I think it's great. It's a very, very attractive looking book. How many pages?
I think it's 58 pages, but that's a mixture of imagery and words.
Right.
But it's not like you don't have to sit down and read it like a novel. So, yeah.
Right. So when you were working with your editor, your publisher, and all that business, how much feedback did they give you to say, you can't make it more than these pages, or you can write as much as you want? Did they say they wanted you to hit in this sort of space?
Sweet spot. Yeah. The typical children's book is about 32 pages, I think, is between illustrations and what. So mine is a little bit longer than that. I joke, you get more for your money, right? Because you're getting more paid. No, but it's... I felt like the story that I was trying to tell needed to be a little bit longer than 32 pages. Could I have cut it back? Probably yes. But the publisher was supportive of this length, and if they didn't want to do it, I absolutely would have edited.
Right. So here you are, 30 plus years as a PR practitioner. Did you ever think you'd be a children's author?
No, it wasn't on my bingo card or whatever.
So when did it start being on the bingo card? 3 years ago? 5
probably
years?
3 or 4 years ago when when the first book kind of became something. And I'll tell you what's funny, Drew, is for 30 years, the people that I've known throughout San Diego in my life, it's always been, oh, you're the PR guy, or they meet me and they'll talk about some PR thing.
Right.
Now, anytime I'm at a public event or wherever it is where I'm seeing people, the first thing they ask about are the books. So it's funny. It's like your title changed to author. And I'm excited. I mean, that's fun, but it's neat to see how that changes.
Is number 3 in the works?
I actually have a couple of other finished children's books that I've written.
Okay.
I won't say what they are thematically and things like that, but I guess if this one does well and if the publishers want to pursue it, I'd be more than happy to do that.
What great advice would you give for somebody that says, "Hey, if Derek can do it, I can do it"? What advice would you give to someone who wants to be? And we'll focus on children's authors.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you feel strongly about your book and you believe in the story and the mission and everything that you're trying to do, don't give up on that. It's sort of cliche to say it, but I mean, there are so many options for people these days, whether you find a traditional publisher, whether you self-publish through all the tools that are out there. If your book has a message that could be shared with other people, then that is certainly something that you should pursue.
Right, absolutely. So where do you get the book?
The book is available on Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. They may start carrying it in some of the Barnes & Noble stores. And Barnes & Noble is the only one that offers the hardcover side, but you can get it in both.
That sounds good. Well, really appreciate you coming, Derek Danziger, author of Teddy, the Tiny Tree. Perfect to pick this up for a holiday book, and I think it'll be a good spring book and a summer book and maybe even a fall book as well. We will look forward to having you back on when book 3 comes out, or maybe we'll talk about some PR stuff as well. Derek, good seeing you and wishing you nothing but a great holiday season.
Thank you so much, Drew. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Derek Danziger, author of Teddy the Tiny Tree. I'm Drew Schlosberg. Been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.